Hi everyone, my name is Jade. I own and operate Calver Immigration Services. We're a Canadian immigration consulting firm. Today we're talking about the International Experience class. The International Experience class is a class of application that allows young people from specific countries the opportunity to come work and travel in Canada. There are three categories under the International Experience class. The first one is the Working Holiday Visa. This is an open work permit and allows you to work for any employer in Canada. The second category is the Young Professionals class, and that is a closed work permit, which means you need a job offer from a Canadian employer to work under the Young Professionals category. The third category is the co-op category, and that only is issued in very specific cases. In terms of eligibility, there are different limits and requirements depending on which country you come from. Some countries are able to participate for 24 months or 2 years, whereas some countries are limited to 12 months. The age will also differ depending on which country you come from. Chile, for example, only used to have 12 months of participation. They recently, as of last week, changed to 24 months. The application process for the International Experience class is done online through an online system, similar to other classes of application like Express Entry. So the first step is to create your profile online. Again, depending on what country you're coming from, your odds of being invited will differ on that country and how many people are in the pool. So the first step is to create a profile. It's important to be very accurate with your profile so that with future applications for permanent residency, for example, everything lines up. So once you create your profile, you're essentially in a pool of applicants and you need to wait to be invited. Once you're invited, you'll get a notification through your email and you have 10 days to accept your invitation. Once you accept that invitation, you only have 20 days to submit all of your documents. Therefore, I usually recommend that you put all of your documentation together within those 10 days to buy you an extra 10 days. A few things to note when applying for the International Experience class are that it's very important to have a few specific things when arriving at the border. The first thing is health insurance. Lots of people try to buy cheaper insurance and only have themselves covered for the first year, but it's important that you show up with full coverage for the full 2 years because the border officer will only issue your work permit for the duration of your health insurance. Another important thing are your funds. So you need $2,500 Canadian or its equivalent in order to be eligible for the work permit. So it's important when you land at the border to bring proof that you have this in your bank account. It's important to show that you have enough money to buy also your plane ticket when you come back. So you either need a booked return ticket or more money in addition to the $2,500 Canadian to show that you can afford that plane ticket when it's time to go home. It's another thing to note about the International Experience class is that this work permit is not extendable. So if you are able to participate for 24 months or 12 months, depending on your country of origin in that class, then you cannot extend that permit. So that's why it's important to have a plan in place for either a new work permit or permanent residency when participating in a working holiday visa or a young professionals permit. You can also, if you're outside of the countries that are eligible for this class of application, there are also designated organizations that let nationals from other countries, so the United States or India, they're not normally eligible to participate in a working holiday visa, but if you go through these designated organizations, then you are eligible to participate in the working holiday visa. Other important things to note are your in terms of your documents, are your police certificates. So you need to have those police certificates ready to upload when you're applying. So remember, it's only 20 days that you have to submit all of your documentation. Therefore, if you're applying for the working holiday visa class or the young professionals class, I always recommend that you get your police certificates ahead of time. Also, another thing to note is that a lot of people come to Canada under the working holiday visa or young professionals to work in the healthcare field or with children. So if you don't produce a medical exam when you first apply for your work permit that you're issued at the border will say that you are not eligible to work in healthcare or with children. Therefore, if you plan to do that, so for example, you have a job in Canada at a daycare or as a doctor, you need to have that medical exam done before you apply for your work permit. I think that's about it. The only thing that I will mention with this is that a lot of my clients first come to Canada under the Working Holiday Visa or Young Professionals, and then they come to us looking to obtain permanent residency in Canada. And often they've only, worked in a few odd jobs here because they've been traveling. However, right now you really need to have skilled work experience for permanent residency. That's why I always say if the end goal is permanent residency, you really need to be looking for skilled full-time work in Canada so that you can get at least 1 year of full-time work experience in Canada in order to get permanent residency. Contact my firm today at jade@calvernassociates.com.